Funding for this program was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and biannual financial support from viewers like you.
Hey guys, this is Tanner. You are watching, I guess this would be Stoned History. I guess it's that time. You know, it's been a hot minute since we rambled on about a stupid-ass subject while intoxicated. Which is the whole point of this show, in case you don't know. I'll never make money off of this show. I don't intend to. I just want to talk to you about a thing I am passionate about while I'm high as hell. Anyway, if you are interested in listening, then stick around, stay tuned. We have some interesting material to talk about. We're going to give you some content warnings. We're going to be talking about World War II. We're going to be talking about some sensitive material. And most of all, we're going to be engaging in activities that not only do I not condone, do I not endorse, but I do not recommend onto other people. With that being said, since it has been a minute and I can swear now, fucking hell, please like and subscribe to the video if you haven't already. It's completely free. It doesn't cost a single fucking penny, and it really, really helps an algorithm. Anyway, as always, if you would like to smoke along, you can do that. If not, I don't fucking care. Sip before you rip. It helps your throat. And we're off. It's fucking nice. Anyway, so what I want to talk about today is a lot of whitewashing that happens in history, specifically World War II. So when I was in ninth grade, I had the privilege to go to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, and I being the edgy, like 15-year-old that I was cracking jokes the entire way through. But then we got there. And, you know, it became very apparent that this trip was a serious trip. We all met at the Lincoln Monument. We took some pictures. Nice trip. Nice city. Beautiful city. And we walked to the Holocaust Museum. In the Holocaust Museum, you are immediately just in awe. There's a room that you are supposed to be completely silent in to pay respect, to show respect. I think we sat down and we were each given a profile of a death, a victim of the Holocaust, whether they were, you would find out more about them, and maybe they were Jewish, maybe they weren't. That wasn't the point. What I remember specifically is they bragged about the fact that they never seemed to, in all their time of being open, they have never once found a repeat prisoner. They've never run out of prisoners to give the people a profile, which is a sadly funny joke. The trip carried on. It was one of the most gut-wrenching trips I've ever been on, but it really started poking questions in my head. How much more of World War II is whitewashed? Obviously, the Holocaust, as awful as it is whitewashed beyond belief. You know, up until very recently, where we just kind of hush about the brutality that happened during that time. But there's a lot more that we're also hush about. Like, for example, the term privatization in the economy, in reference to the economy, is something that is directly from Nazi Germany. It is or the fact that, had it been not for the fact that FDR was such a fucking alpha giga sigma male that he served literally the rest of his life as president, we would be singing a very different tune in this country. In fact, the more you start to learn about this war, unfortunately, you begin to realize how truly whitewashed not even just the school textbooks are, like just general knowledge of this war is so whitewashed. One thing that always comes to mind to me was the fact that there were about 30,000 Americans who went to Madison Square Garden, MSG, to do to be a part of the American German Bund rally. The American German Bund was an American version of the Nazi Party. A guy was very, very inspired. Or the fact that, like, George Lincoln Rockwell just never gets talked about in history. Like, yeah, you call the kook. The dude was doing big things and had a fuck ton of influence. But I digress. There's so much about World War II that is just not even whitewashed, rather ignored. And it's a shame. It's a shame, in my opinion, because World War II is like the beginning point of the modern era, for better or worse. Once we decided the fucking do the goofy and drop the atom bombs, that changed everything. There's no going back from that. There's just so much. It's not even just on, like, the German side, the fact that the development of the atomic bomb, for the most part, up until, like, very, 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 very recently, was like the most top secret classified thing ever. It might have been paid for entirely with our tax dollars, but we didn't know a damn thing about it until either scientists started talking about it, or like documents got declassified decades later. You always sound so conspiratorial when you talk like this, but it's not a conspiracy. They had their reasons at the time, and it's like, it's concerning, but in the pursuit of knowledge, it is also worth noting that none of these people were held accountable for even the most atrocious of the atrocious things that were whitewashed, ignored, and hidden. The Nuremberg trials were simply not enough. The Russian trials were also not enough, although more of a better solution as well. They executed. I mean, the Russian solution to them was great, but that's not what I'm talking about. So many things are whitewashed. Like, I think going to the museum really opened my eyes to just the blatant fact of how even the most atrocious of events can just be, like, kept secret. And that was the horrifying fact about, like, not Nazi Germany. They were really good at covering up what they were doing, to a point where there are people today who genuinely took the bait that, oh, they had swimming pools in the camps, so it had to have been a fun time. And, you know, a lot of countries, learned the lesson that the H-man put out, and they took note. To be fair, most of the H-man's methods, if you ever read Mein Kampf, were he praised America, loved America. I mean, he glorified what we were doing to the Mexicans at the border at the time. Oops. Nothing changes. Literally making the H-man proud to this day. America #1, baby. Anywho, so many things just covered up. Yeah. The trip to the museum really was worth it. They collected so much stuff to really put on display exactly how this, like, rhetoric developed into, how this genocidal rhetoric was not only propagandized, hidden, but also how it happened, like, step by step. It's fascinating. And, you know, it gives you a whole new perspective on like, not even just the event, but like how states, how like governments will just like brush everything under. The way in which they had a great display of like German propaganda, like how to detect the Jew. Meanwhile, they would have like footage of like shit that Goebbels was putting out, and it's like, here in later Hosenville, people are so happy that they can, and it's like, they say war never changes, but really nothing ever changes, because it's the exact same shit. But not what I'm talking about. I cannot stress enough. This is a video about World War II. World War II. World War II. World War II. One dude that always fails to get mentioned is Oswald Mosley. Not a big fan of him. I know a lot about him. He's in the show Peaky Blinders. Kind of a villain. Well, not kinda. Not a good guy. But I know a lot about him, so people think like I'm an Oswald Mosley fan, and it's like, no, I just know a lot about him. Oswald Mosley was the guy, the creator of the British Union of Fascists, a gang/political party that was a Labour Party offshoot, but instead of like the socialists that the Labour Party were at the time, Oswald Mosley was like, I have a different idea. He was trying to do like, Oswald Mosley was a unique character. You know how everyone likes to say Hitler was a socialist, or like Mussolini was a socialist? There are arguments to make that Oswald Mosley, he wanted to really try and do like national socialism at its, and it's like he was a weird man. He wanted like, I want like every Angloid to live the best life ever, but if they're not an Angloid, I want to nuke, like, they can die for all I care. They'll be our slaves. He wanted to do like the English Empire 2, Electric Boogaloo. And he thought the only way to do this was through aligning himself with fascists like Mussolini and Hitler. He was a fucking crazy individual who should, in any just world, he would have been tried for a fuck ton of hate crimes, but he lived to be like 70, and yeah, no. It's just never kind of talked about. Never really talked about. Then there's, of course, I mean, this has been talked about more recently, but Japan's Unit 731, which was just like the war crime machine. They were just they were just making Joseph Mengele proud with all the human experiments they were doing. Holy shit. They were doing that. I mean, that there's it's just such a rabbit hole to go down. It's like reading the fucking book of Genesis. It's just like it's the beginning and everything happens in it. It's just everything. Everything's setting up for like the next gorillion years. What I'm getting at is, I don't think we should give students, or maybe, I obviously don't think, there should be, I don't know what I'm getting at. I'm stoned, and this has been Stoned History. Bye. I don't know. You're probably gonna get recommended a video because YouTube's stupid and has autoplay. But bye.